Hi, my name's Kelly and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Untouched Books Tag. Nigel over at Reading Ideas tagged me in this in July. But I'm finally getting to it, and all it is just telling you guys about 10 books on my shelf that have been there a year or more. So this is going to be a pretty quick tag, I'm fairly sure. I don't think I'm going to do a lot of talking about each book, but nonetheless, 10 books that have been on my shelf for a year or more that I think I'll eventually get to. So the first one is Doing Archaeology in the Land of the Bible by John D. Currid. I love archaeology, mostly because I really love anthropology. And it would honestly be a dream of mine to go do an archaeological dig someday. So my husband saw this and he got it for me, and I just haven't got around to reading it yet, but it's definitely one that I'm very interested in. The next one is Beowulf. This I was never interested in reading this book, but I homeschool my kids. And when my son read this last year, he said that it's actually one of his favorite books he's read of all time. So with that, I figured this has to be a pretty darn good book. So I do plan to read this, but it has been on my shelf for over a year. Another book that I plan to read is A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain. I haven't read a ton by Mark Twain, but I kind of know the basis of most of his stories. However, when I was a kid, there was this movie, the New York Yankee in King Arthur's Court, or something like that, something about a Yankee in King Arthur's Court, but it was like baseball. And this kid ends up in King Arthur's Court. And so growing up with that, I feel like I kind of know the premise, but obviously this is different. And I'd like to know where that movie got its idea from. So I do want to read this. I just haven't got to it yet. I don't know. Another one, you guys have heard me talk about this one. This is the one that's been on my shelf the longest, and I have not read it, is Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. I read a children's abridged version of this with my niece when I was homeschooling her. Um, so I kind of know the basis of the story now, but I'd like to read the real thing, especially because it's been on my shelf for so long. So I would like to get to this. The problem is, now I always had a feeling it would be sad, but now I know for sure there's going to be sad parts, and I don't like reading books that make me sad. So we'll see. We'll see when I get to that. I know I will. I just don't know when. Another one is Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. In case you can't tell, this is definitely a used book. But I have been reading, like trying to read Robert Louis Stevenson's books over the past few years. He has just written some pretty awesome books, and it feels like what he has written has a bit of a wide range. Anyway, so this has been on my bookshelf for a while, and I would like to eventually get to it. I've just been interested in other stuff more. Another one is Double the Lies by Patricia Raybon. I read the first book. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it here. But I read that last year because my husband actually got me this book, and I saw that as a gift, and I saw that it was a number 2 in a series, and I said, well, I'm not reading that until I read the first one. So I read the first one, and I still want to read this, but the first one fell just a little bit flat for me. And so I think that's why I still haven't got to this one. And it's been a little over a year. I will get to it. I don't know, maybe I need to get past remembering that the first one fell a little flat. I don't know. Or maybe just push through it, because I've heard people say good stuff about it. So I think that I just need to push through it. So, but yeah, that's been a little over a year. Another one is The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. I know a good portion of the story-ish. So my son read this for homeschool, and he would kind of dictate back to me what he had read. So I know uh, as much as a eighth grade boy is willing, no, seventh grade, as much as a seventh grade boy is willing to tell back to you in summary of each chapter, I know that it's not just about Mowgli, that there's some other characters in here as well that I never learned about in the Disney movie because honestly, that was like my main source of information regarding the Jungle Book for a long time. So I want to read the actual book. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I also don't remember most of what my son told me. So I do want to read this. It's just been on my shelf for a while. Another one is The Broker by John Grisham. This was recommended to me by a lady in the used bookstore at our library, and I picked it up even though I'm not really into like lawyer stuff or things like this, but she said it was a really good story. He's a really great author, and I've heard a lot of people, even here on Christian BookTube, talk a lot about him. So I want to give him a shot. I just haven't got to it yet because honestly, this isn't what I would normally gravitate towards anyway. But I will give it a shot eventually. Another one is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I've been avoiding it mostly because it's a chunker. And like this is with very tiny writing. Like I just know it's going to take me a while. And I've been working on other larger books that were more interesting to me anyway. So I'll eventually get to this. It's on my 50 by 50. So if nothing else, I will have it done within the decade. All right. And then the last one that's on my list to read that I just haven't, and it's been on my shelf for a little over a year. These books are falling. Okay. Do you know what? Just fall, but fall nicely. Okay. Is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I've never read this series. I watched the movies many moons ago with my husband. So I feel like I remember most of the story. But I've heard people say that it really, really is a great series to read. I just haven't got around to it. I've been working on other series that I had never got to before first. So that will be another one that has been on my bookshelf for over a year, but I will get to it eventually. In fact, I think I put this on my 50 by 50 as well so that it would encourage me to at least read the first one. So I'll get to it. I will. Anyway, there are definitely plenty of other books on my bookshelf that I haven't quite got to, and it's been over a year. But I only had to tell you guys about 10, so you don't need to know the whole number. You don't need to know. You don't need to know. Anyhow, that's it. It's a very quick tag, which is really nice for me because I haven't been feeling super well with the weather change, and which means that there's a lot of allergy stuff going on here, which led to a sinus infection for me, which led to migraines, which led to issues with the epilepsy. So I've been feeling a bit drained. So a nice short little tag was perfect for this week. Anyhow, let me know what book you've had on your bookshelf the longest. Or have you read one of these books? Did you like them? Let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys have an amazing day. God bless you guys.